This segment of Carlos and Lisa is brought to you by Malibu Watches. Find them at MalibuWatches.com.
So do you have an old watch sitting around collecting dust in a drawer in the back of a closet? Well, you might have a treasure on your hands.
Founder of Malibu Watches, Henri Salamati, is here to tell us how to recognize a gem that you might just have somewhere that you don't even realize.
You don't even realize. Hi,
Henri.
Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me back.
When I was a kid, my grandfather had an old Bulova watch that I absolutely wanted.
Yeah.
He gave it to my brother. I'm so disappointed. But I'm sure that because it was very thin, beautiful, very elegant watch. It looked really great on my grandpa. And I think you just kind of fall in love with those things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many reasons why people fall in love with watches.
Yeah.
So tell me about how many times do you have a customer or somebody come to you and say, hey, I have this old thing. I mean, does it happen a lot more than people think?
Constantly.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah, because it's not just Rolex and Patek Philippe, right? There's so many brands these days that are worth a lot of money that people have never heard of and don't think they're worth anything.
Right.
But they really are, and the market has risen tremendously.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means, so I can give you an example actually.
Tell me.
So I have this watch from 1968. It's nice, but no one would think it's very valuable, right?
To be fair, I love the color, it's beautiful, but it looks like I could go to any surf shop and buy one that looks like it.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But to a collector, this is very significant. So
How much is that worth?
About $25,000 to $30,000.
Jeez!
Yeah, it's
Why?
because it's extremely rare from a top brand and was the first diving alarm watch ever created. So
Diving alarm watch.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. But okay, so what should people be looking for in their house if they have a watch? What should they be looking for? Is there brands that they should be looking for, or is it how old it is?
I think people like a watch with a good story. So they like dive watches, they like military watches, they like even if it's a normal watch with a great story from the owner, that's worth money. So it's hard to pin it down. I say always reach out to me because there's so many different elements that can make a watch valuable.
Yeah. So I think part of the valuation of these watches, I think, is really important. So you have a transparency policy that you make sure you reveal everything and you find out as much as you can.
Exactly. So that was the opportunity I saw when I started this business. Was there's so many people getting very little for their watches because the offers they were getting were not substantiated. So what I do is I go through what is this watch worth? Let me prove you by actual data of what it's sold for and exactly what it is, and then we'll come to a deal after that.
Yeah, because you in your head you see all the movies and the cartoons of the guy on the corner with the watches all in his thing. He's like, hey, you want to buy a watch? But obviously they say it in the movies because it probably happens.
True.
Maybe not to that extent, but it's certainly kind of a little off business.
Oh, absolutely. That happens too much. And I'm much more interested in building a long-term customer base and my reputation in the U.S. And abroad as well, much more than getting a profit on one watch. So that's why transparency is so important.
Is there a place in the world that makes watches that's better than the other? Like everyone thinks Switzerland is the place. Is that true? Is that like Swiss movement is like the big thing?
That is true, yeah.
Really?
Switzerland does make the top brands, and you see that going back. But there's also a lot of other brands that were made in the U.S. that do contain value. So Switzerland is the top, but there's still a lot of other obscure ones that are working.
Do you have a favorite brand that you like to have available to your clients? Is there a certain type of? I'm trying to give people at home an idea of, what they could, because I know they're going to watch this and they're going to start digging around and be like, what do I got? What do I have? What is there a specific brand that you like, or is it all brands?
I mean, honestly, Rolex and Patek Philippe are the two most sought after brands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the truth. But again, there's so many other ones. So I always say, it doesn't matter what it's worth, just reach out. I am obsessed with watches. I love to receive these inquiries. Just let me see what it is and I'll help you through it because there's too many exceptions.
Let's go to the other end.
Yeah.
Timex, Seiko, some of these watches that seem to be pretty run-of-the-mill. Are there unusual watches in that group?
Absolutely. I just sold a Seiko for $4,000.
What?
Yes.
What? Oh my
That's
goodness.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so the vintage Seiko market is actually booming right now. Because there's a lot of interesting history behind Seiko's worn in war in Vietnam and other things, and in movies as well. So
interesting.
Yeah.
The people that I would imagine that you have to have a specific kind of buyer that wants these kind of watches.
Yeah.
So does the market go up and down? Do you have to be selling your watch at the right time to get the best money for it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really?
So collectors' tastes change a lot. So right now, steel watches are very valuable, more than gold. But in the past, that's been different. And larger watches right now are very in, but in other times it was small watches. So it's very important that you understand those market dynamics.
Yeah.
And so would it be better to just, in that case, so say if I have an old vintage gold watch, would it be better for me to hang on to it now, maybe wait until it cycles back into something?
That's when I'd recommend you come to me, and we'll
figure
go
it
through
out.
the market, and we'll discuss when's the right time to sell.
All right, so how do we find you?
So you can find me by calling our number. You can find me at MalibuWatches.com or on Instagram, DM and follow Malibu Watches.
And that MalibuWatches.com is
It's beautiful.
fabulous to look
Yeah,
at.
there's
It's
some
absolutely
beautiful
gorgeous.
watches on
All right,
there.
Henry, thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Henry.
Appreciate you being
It's
here.
been a pleasure.